All right, so let's. Where's everybody? I'm missing. All right,
This is everybody.
Is everybody?
Yeah.
Mamish, people got a head start on Pesach vacation. All right, incredible. All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. So I want to share with you. What I think is an interesting idea. So we're going to start a little bit. Focus you a bit on the Haggadah. So over here you can see in front of you the section Lachma Anya. So let's take a quick look at it together. Lachma Anya diachalu avasana ba'ared Mitzrayim. What does that mean? What does that mean? Excellent. Bread of affliction that our fathers ate in Egypt. By the way, one of the most incredible things, this is not our topic for today, but just something to think about in general, is, if I were to ask you, is matzah the bread of affliction, like the bread of slavery, or the bread of freedom? What would you say?
Both.
Both.
Freedom.
Excellent. We said both. It's really excellent. Why? Why both?
Because poor people eat matzah and also rich people.
Right. So why do poor people eat matzah?
Because they don't have enough money, so they do it like...
Excellent.
They have just all that's it.
The Ramban brings down that the Jews, see, we often think about pizza, matzah, right? That the Jews ate in Mitzrayim. We think about it again when they left. The Ramban brings down.
That's the first thing we ate when we left.
I'm sorry, first thing we ate when we left. That's why you say it's the bread of freedom.
Yeah.
Good. It's excellent. The Ramban also says for 210 years the Mitzrayim went ahead and fed us matzah. Why? Number one, it's cheap. Number two, Chavra, how do you feel after you eat a lot of matzah? Right, exactly. Right. Oh, right. Matzah sits in your system. Right. It stays there for a while. If you have to feed an entire slave population, and you need to feed potentially millions of people, and you want a cheap way to do so, matzah is a fantastic way. So matzah is this interesting idea. So on one hand, matzah is the bread of slavery because we ate it for 210 years. Yet matzah is also the first thing that lady mentioned. It's the first thing that we ate when we went free. Okay, good. So let's go right on this. Translation? You don't even have to guess. I even put the English on the sheet over here. Good. All you need to do is actually just look down. Right? So, Good.
Anyone who's hungry can come and eat.
Excellent. Anyone who wants to come and eat. Now, it's actually an interesting double lashon over here. Whoever is hungry, let him come and eat. Whoever is in need, yeseh v'yifsach. So here the English translation is, let him come and celebrate Pesach. Literally translated, it sounds like it means that what? How would you translate that phrase? Kol ditzrich yeseh v'yifsach. What does that mean? Whoever is in need, what? Yeseh v'yifsach? Was that a hand? No. Good. What would you think?
Come and Pesach.
Say it again?
Come and Pesach.
Come and Pesach. What does that mean? Come and Pesach?
Celebrate.
Celebrate Pesach. Or what else could it mean? Times the Beis HaMikdash. What else could it mean? Carbon Pesach. Excellent. Good. Hashat hacha l'shana ba'bar der Yisrael. Translation? Hashat hacha l'shana ba'bar der Yisrael.
Now we are here. Next year, may we be the land of Israel.
Excellent. Right? This year we're here. Where's here, by the way? Where's here? Chutz La'aretz. Right? Wherever you are. Next year, Eretz Yisrael. Hashat avdi l'shana ba'bnei chorin. How would you translate? Excellent. Good. This year we are slaves, next year we are free. Fantastic. When you look at this, tell me some questions that come to mind. Some questions that come to mind when you look at this.
What if people actually hear us and they come into our house?
Oh, right. So by the way, what happens if somebody's walking by your house, the windows are open, they hear this, and meanwhile you're giving this invitation. Come right in. Right?
That's why we don't say it on Sukkot.
That's why I don't say it on Sukkot. It's good. So first of all, let me reframe that a little bit. Let me reframe that question. Chevra, when is Lachma Anya said? Who knows? What have we already done in the Seder by the time we get to Lachma Anya? What have we already done? Kiddush. Excellent. Right? Well, Kaddish Orchatz. Yeah, correct. Kaddish, right, correct. Kaddish Orchatz, Karpas, Yachatz. This is already the beginning of Magid. Excellent. If you're really inviting guests, when should you be inviting guests? Beginning. Excellent. What's the beginning? Beginning before what?
We start.
Before start. Meaning before? Kiddush. Excellent. Good. So that's question number one. What kind of invitation is this, given the fact we've already started the Seder? Excellent. Good. Another question. What else jumps out? What else jumps out about this?
Are we slaves or not?
I'm sorry?
Are we slaves or not?
What do you mean?
Now we're slaves, next year.
Right. So what does that mean? Now we're slaves? Really? I don't know. Are we slaves? Are we not slaves? Okay, good. What does that mean? Excellent. Good. Question two. What else? What jumps out about the language of Lachma Anya?
Why is it not in Hebrew?
Excellent. Lachma Anya is in Aramaic, as opposed to the rest of the Haggadah, which is Hebrew, with one exception, by the way. There's one more piece of the Haggadah which is in Aramaic. Anyone remember? You have to really be up till the end of this. Haggadah, excellent. Which is interesting, by the way, because it looks like the bookends of the Seder are in Aramaic. Lachma Anya, which is essentially the beginning of Magid, and Haggadah, which is effectively the end of the okay, Echad Miyodea, but Haggadah is the end, right? The end of the star. Good. So just hold on to why Aramaic. So Chavra, let me share with you an insight. It's an excellent question. So by the way, one more question. What's another question on this? Take a look at the last line. What else do you think is a question on this? Hashata hacha l'shana abba ba'ardi Yisrael. Hashata avdi l'shana abba b'nei chorin. If you were writing this, how would you write it? This year we're here, next year it's Yisrael. This year I'm a slave, next year I'll be free. How would you write it? Let me ask you this, guys. Do you want to wait till next year for Mashiach? You ready? Anyone ready to wait until next year? No? When do you want Mashiach? Right now. Right? So, what do you mean, this year we're here, next year Eretz Yisrael? What should it say? Tomorrow. Or even better, what else could it say? Maybe later tonight. Right? In other words, Pesach is all about the Yeshuas Hashem Kerafayim, all about the ability for Hashem to effect miracles just like that. So what are you talking about over here? This year I'm here, next year I'll be free. This year I'm a slave, next year I'll be free. What does that mean? Why are we delaying it till next year? So let's analyze these questions one by one. So first of all, let's start with the why Aramaic. So the Minchas Asher, Rav Asher Weiss, in his commentary on the Haggadah, says something very beautiful. He explains that Lachma Anya is actually Zecher L'Churban. He says it was instituted later on after the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, and ultimately, again, it's here. What? By the way, let's take a step back. What does it mean, Zecher L'Churban? What does that phrase mean, Zecher L'Churban?
Remembering the destruction of the
Excellent. How do we remember the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash? Anyone know? Give me some ideas. Give me some examples of things we do to remember the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash.
You leave like a little part of your house that's like on.
Excellent. You see this much more in Eretz Yisrael than you see it here in Chutz La'aretz, but you leave an amma by amma, a square, unfinished in your home. Good. What else? What else do we do? Zecher L'Churban. Remember that? Yes. Anjo Chapa, what do we do? Excellent. Step on this. By the way, guys, just want to tell you something amazing. Do you know that the origins of that practice of breaking a glass actually predates the destruction of the second Beis HaMikdash? You know that? It's actually Gemara Maseches Brachas, somewhere like in the beginning of the Lamed, there, where the Gemara discusses that there was like a chasana, and you ever been in a chasana where things are getting a little bit out of hand? Anyone ever been to a wedding like that? Hey, a little too lebedik. So the Gemara tells a story that there was, I forgot the Rabbanim who were involved, but the Gemara says that there was a chasana, and the Rabbanim, the rabbis, were getting a little bit too lebedik. So one of the other Tanoim came along, and what did he do? He took a kasa de zugisa, he took a glass, and he smashed it. You ever been in a place somewhere where like something smashes against the ground? What happens in the moment that the item smashes to the ground?
Everybody goes quiet.
Right? It goes quiet. So he did this Rav did this at the wedding to kind of bring everything to a screeching halt, to stop. So after that, they instituted the breaking of a glass at a chasana, nothing to do with the Beis HaMikdash, but in order to go ahead and kind of keep things in the right mindset, to keep things, in the right tempo. After the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, so this practice took on another level of symbolism as well, Zecher L'Churban. Zecher L'Churban. Okay, so good. Zecher L'Churban, break a glass. Good. Anything else we do, Zecher L'Churban? Anything else we do to remember the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash?
Do we break a plate?
Good. Good, excellent. By the Tanoim also, excellent. The parents do their Zecher L'Churban by the Tanoim, excellent. Good. Any other practices that you guys are aware of? So the Shulchan Aruch brings down like a number of different things. We don't always bring out like all of our best stuff to put it out to the table. At a chasana, we put ashes on the head of the chasan. A number of different practices. So the Minchas Asher brings down, he says this paragraph of Lachma Anya is Zecher L'Churban. Zecher L'Churban is to remind us of the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. There's a halacha that says that whenever you have moments of incredible joy, you also have to remember what Klal Yisrael lost. So guys, if I were to ask you, how is this paragraph Zecher L'Churban? How does this remind us of the destruction of Beis HaMikdash? What would you say? How does it remind us? Where is the Zecher L'Churban in this? What would you say?
That's the bread that our father gave.
So first of all, this idea that it reminds us of slavery. Excellent. Good. What else? How else is this Zeichel Korban?
It says we're slaves.
I'm sorry?
It says we're slaves.
It says we're slaves, right? Hashata Avdi. This year we're slaves. And this goes back to Uzi's question. I'm not a slave. I'm not a slave. But remember, again, maybe slavery doesn't have to mean slavery. Maybe slavery could also just mean galus. Excellent. Good. What else? How else do we see Zeichel Korban?
Be that like everyone else, like all the other Jews, know what it's like to like have something destroyed, so we're inviting them to like make them feel. Beautiful,
beautiful. Almost like that common experience of destruction. And the Minchas Asher, he adds in something incredible. He says, guys, look at the second line in Lachma Anya. Kol dichvin yesev yechol, kol ditzrich yesev yifsach. Right? So again, let's translate. Kol dichvin yesev yechol, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Kol dichvin yesev yechol. Whoever's hungry, come and eat. Kol ditzrich yesev yifsach. Remember again, so Uzi, how did you translate it before? Kol dichvin yesev yifsach. Come Passover with us, right? We're using Pesach as a verb, right? Come Pesach with us. The Minchas Asher writes, he says, and this is so beautiful. Guys, anyone learn about the Karban Pesach? I don't know, over your journeys, right, in school? And we learned Karban Pesach. In order to partake of the Karban Pesach, what do you need? What do you need?
sheep.
First of all, good. You need a sheep. Good. Excellent. Good. That's solid, right? What else do you need as Karban? By the way, when is Karban Pesach eaten over the course of the meal? When is it consumed?
Night of the 14th.
I'm sorry?
Night of the 14th.
Night of the 14th. But what part? Really already the 15th, right? Night of the 14th, the 15th. Good. But when is Karban Pesach eaten? When is it actually consumed?
That night.
That night. What part of the meal? Is it the main course? Is it the appetizer? Is it dessert?
Main course.
Good, you got 1 out of 3 over here, right?
Dessert.
Right, dessert. In fact, again, remember, this is incredible. So we have the concept of Pesach, right? Is Necha ala Sova. Karban Pesach, that's why, again, when you had a Karban Pesach, you had a chabura. You had a group. You had a group. You never just ate a Karban Pesach, because why? You were already eating it for dessert. Remember, the same way we have afikomen. Afikomen today is in place of the Karban Pesach. We eat afikomen at the end of the meal. At the end of the meal, that's how Karban Pesach was consumed. So the Minchas Asher writes as follows. He says, on Erev Pesach, it was very common for a person, times of the Beis HaMikdash, for a person to go out into the marketplace. And what would you say? What would you say? You make an announcement. Kol ditzrich yesei v'yifsach. There is room in part of my chabura. I have a Karban Pesach. Baruch Hashem, I have a sheep. Maybe I don't have a big family. Maybe I don't have a lot of guests. So you know what? I have a lot of extra meat. Does anybody want to come and be part of my chabura? Does anybody want to come and attach themselves to our group? So that's the line that they would say in the marketplace on Erev Pesach to try to gather together a chabura. So the Minchas Asher posits, we say this as Zeichel Korban. Okay, so that's the Aramaic piece. Let's talk now about the invitation piece. If this was a real invitation, when would you be making it? When would you be making it? Right? Before Kiddush. Right? Before. Ideally, you should even be doing this the day before, but at least before Kiddush. So if it's being made in the middle, so think about this in just a moment, right? You're sitting at your table, and you make this grand announcement. Whoever needs a place, come and join us. Chavra, who are you talking to when you make that statement? Who are you talking to? Who hears you when you make that statement?
People at the table.
The people at the table. Now the hope is that people at the table have been invited, right? That they're there because you asked them to be there. So who are you talking to? And here Rabbi Soloveitchik says something so beautiful. Rabbi Soloveitchik says, you're right, it's not a real invitation. If it was a real invitation, it should have been made before Kiddush. And by the way, you're sitting at your table with everybody else. Go over to the door. Open the door. Right, we open the door later on by the Seder. I don't know. Go open the door. Yell out. Anyone need a place for the Seder? Rabbi Soloveitchik says, you see from here that it's not a real invitation. So if it's not a real invitation, then what is it? And here Rabbi Soloveitchik says something so beautiful. And he explains, boys, if I were to ask you, what is the definition of freedom? What would you say? What is the definition of freedom? Being able to do whatever you want to choose. That is the classic answer. Now, Chanok, is that actually what freedom is? We celebrate. Can you do whatever you want?
No, because we're bound by laws, we're bound by reality.
Exactly. And this is an incredibly important point because we often think that freedom means the ability to do whatever I want. No one could do whatever they want. As a Jew, I'm bound by 613 mitzvahs. And even if you're not Jewish, right? Even if you don't believe in God at all and you have no religion in your life, if you choose that you want to go over to somebody and kill them, are you allowed to do that? No.
There's nothing going to stop you.
I'm sorry?
There's nothing going to stop you from that, but it's all about like making good choices.
But you're not allowed to do it. In other words, there's a law in the land that says you're not allowed to kill. Right? If I want to go ahead and I want to take someone's car, am I allowed to do that? All right, this is not the best example in Baltimore, right? But again, but in general, right? You're not allowed to do it everywhere. It has nothing to do with God. The fact that I'm a religious person gives me a whole other set of laws. But no one in this world is allowed to do whatever they want to do. So freedom can't mean the ability to do whatever I want to do. So what does freedom mean? What does freedom mean? What would you say?
Not being owned by someone else.
I'm sorry?
Not being owned by someone else.
That's actually a great definition. Not being owned by someone else, meaning that I have control over me. Excellent. Excellent.
You're being controlled by the laws too. So like,
I'm sorry?
you're being controlled by the laws. You're still being controlled by something.
You could do
Yeah, but
you
is
could
that
do
the
good
same
stuff.
thing
You
as
could do
being
whatever you want, but
controlled?
with the laws, you have to go with the laws. Like you can't go past them.
So what's freedom?
Like I can do what I want, but I can't go past the laws.
So in other words, freedom means the ability to do what you want, but within like a framework. Okay, good.
But a little bit more than just like within like the framework. It's like, no, you need rules in order for like the laws serve a purpose.
Right. Excellent. Right. Laws are there to help me.
Yeah, exactly. Laws, like it isn't. Oh yeah, you can do whatever you want, because that's not how a society works. You can't build a society where it's like, oh, I can murder whoever I want. Oh, I can steal as much as I want. No, because then it wouldn't work. It'll just be anarchy.
Incredible. Incredible. So even with the laws are there to help me become the best version of myself.
Freedom is like, if I choose that I want to be a lawyer, like I could go to college, I can go to law school, and I can become a lawyer. If I choose I want to be a teacher, I can go get my degree in something and then go become a teacher. If I choose to become a doctor, I can go to medical school and become a doctor. Like, that's my freedom.
That's freedom. Beautiful. Almost like a personal choice within a framework. Excellent. Good.
Being able to make decisions.
Being able to make decisions. Great. Any other thoughts? All correct. Any other thoughts? So Soloveitchik advances an incredible idea. He says that freedom means the ability to do for the other. A slave is focused on one thing. And what is that? What is a slave focused on?
Satisfying his master.
Survival. Satisfying his master, but really what that means is survival. Right? The slave is focused on survival. That's all. You know, you guys ever hear of Viktor Frankl? Viktor Frankl was a survivor of Auschwitz. Became a noted psychologist. And he told the following story. I thought it was like the most incredible. Rabbi Sachs, Zichron Bracha, actually brings this down in his Haggadah. And he says something amazing. He speaks about, again, in the concentration camps. He says the law of the camps was, eat your bread and eat your fellow's bread if you can as well. Survive. He talks about when the Nazis, Yimach Shem left Auschwitz. Says they left, and the Jews were there like they didn't know what was going on. The Russians didn't yet come. They were just there. And he describes that one night after the Nazis left, they were huddled around in a storeroom, and they were like looking around for stuff, and someone found a loaf of bread, an entire loaf of bread. And so they sat down, they built a fire, and they were sitting around the fire, like just understandably like dazed and shell-shocked. And then he said something amazing happened. One of the people took the loaf of bread and started ripping off pieces and passing it around. He said, in that moment, when we shared the loaf of bread, he said, that was the moment I knew that we were free. In that moment, I knew that we were free. He said, because in the camps, like I said before, in the camps, you didn't share. You didn't share because sharing meant death. It was all about survival. And the moment we shared that loaf of bread is the moment I realized that we were truly free. And Rabbi Soloveitchik posits that that's what's happening in Lachma Anya. This is not a real invitation, because we spoke about that before. It's obviously not a real invitation. If it was a real invitation, you should be making it before Kiddush. If it was a real invitation, you should be talking to people who are not inside your house. So obviously, it's not a real invitation. So what is it? It's a definition of freedom. The definition of freedom for the Jew is the ability to think about someone else. Is the ability to do for someone else. A slave is focused on one thing and one thing only, his survival. A free man has the ability to think about others. And what an incredible idea. Because the whole entire Yom Tov of Pesach is all about freedom and all about establishing our identity as free people. And we often wonder, what does it mean to be free? It can't mean to do whatever I want, because no one's allowed to do whatever I want. Yes, it could mean to make my own choices, to plot my own course, to choose my destiny. But on a much deeper level, it's also about the ability to do for others. Yes?
What's Hashda Avdeh?
Oh, hold on to that. Good. Hold on to that for a second. Excellent. Good. What do you mean I'm free? We're just saying, and now I'm a slave. Hold on. So again, Chavos, so now you understand what the invitation is. So now we understand why Aramaic, Zecher L'Chorban. Now I understand what's going on with this invitation. That's not a real invitation. Because you're right. I'm not actually inviting anyone to say that. What am I saying? If I wanted to, I could share what I have with others. Why? Because I'm free. And a free man has the ability to take of his own stuff and to share it with other people. Now let's come to the last part. Last line. Right? Hashata. Hacha l'shana haba b'ardi Yisrael. Hashata avdi l'shana haba b'nei Chor. Remember again, what was our question on this? What was our question here? Remember, what was our question? I'm sorry? Excellent. We're saying, this year I'm a slave, next year I'm free. This year I'm here, next year. Why next year? What should it say? Right now, right? Or in a moment, or later today, or in an hour, or maybe even lemachar, right? Hashta avdi lemachar b'nei chorin. Today I'm a slave, tomorrow. Today I'm here, tomorrow. What do you mean next year? And I'm going to show you something amazing. My favorite Haggadah, favorite Haggadah is a Haggadah called Yachel Yisrael. It's written by Rav Yisrael Meir Lau, who was the not the current chief rabbi, but the father of the current chief rabbi. Rabbi Lau, a great tzaddik, and he wrote a beautiful perush on the Haggadah, and he says something absolutely amazing over here. He says, let me ask you guys this question. Is it possible for things to dramatically change right in this moment? Is it possible? Think about like the most dramatic change you could imagine for just a moment. I'll give you an example. Is it possible that in the next moment, Hamas, Yimach Shemam v'Zichram, will release every single one of the hostages? Is it possible?
Yes.
Absolutely. Is it possible that Iran, right, Yimach Shemam v'Zichram, could go ahead and surrender everything, right, in the next moment? Is it possible? Yeah. Is it probable? No. And Rabbi Lau here says something amazing. He says dramatic change could happen in a moment. It could happen. It's possible, but it's not probable. The way dramatic change works is that it takes time. Again, anything could happen keherafayim, in the blink of an eye. But that's not usually the way the world works. Usually dramatic change takes place over an extended amount of time. And Rabbi Lau says, that's the meaning of the last phrase. Hashata hacha l'shana haba b'ardi Yisrael. Chevra, do we believe that Mashiach could come in the next moment? Do we believe that? Absolutely. But we also are ready for the fact that sometimes Geula takes a little bit longer. And that's all right. We're ready for that. We're ready to wait. I don't want to wait, but if I have to wait, I'm ready to wait. Hashata avdi l'shana haba b'nei Chorin. Guys, let me ask you a question. Anyone here a slave? No? I'm a slave. Rabbi Bracken is a slave. Rabbi Bracken, what are you a slave to? I am with Rabbi Bracken. We serve the same master, right? Probably different temptations. He's a much bigger tzaddik than I am. But I know I am a slave to many things. To my Yetzer Hara, to my desires, to averas that I can't stop doing. Now guys, let me ask you. I'll ask you to be the judge and jury on me for a second. If I really wanted to change everything that is negative about myself right now, could I do it?
No. Yeah.
Ah, wow, by the way, that hurt a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. That hurt just a bit. I could do it, if I'm honest. If I wanted to stop all the negative things about myself right now, right now, I'll give you the riot to that. If somebody showed up at the door right now and said, Silber, I'll give you $1 million cash if you stop doing every single avera that you do day in and day out, I would take it without a heartbeat and I would change. I would. I'm not going to lie to myself. If I wanted to stop doing the negative things, I could. The difference is I don't. Why? Because more often than not, instantaneous change is possible. It absolutely is possible. But it's not probable. It's not generally the way we work. So I am a slave to many things that hold me down. But at the end of the day, could I change them all tomorrow? Could I change them all today? If I really put my mind to it, I could. But that's not generally how people work. So Hashata Rabbi Lau posits, Hashata Avdi. Right now, I am a slave to so many, and this answers Uzi's question. You're right, he's not talking about slaves to Paro or backbreaking servitude. He's talking about, Chevra, the things that we're all slaves to. And the truth is, do you want to know really at the end of the day what Pesach is all about? You know, the overarching principle of Pesach is what we say in the bracha of Bechol Dar Vadar, the end of Magid. Bechol Dar Vadar, Chayiv Adam Liros Es Atzmo Ki'ilu Hu Yatsa Mimitzrayim. Every single year, every single generation, I'm obligated to see myself as if I left Egypt. And the truth is, so many times we see that and we're like, I don't even know what that's talking about. I don't know what slavery is, Baruch Hashem. I don't have any frame of reference. How can I see myself as if I left Egypt? It's very simple. The same way that our ancestors left a master that held them hostage for 210 years, all of us have stuff that holds us hostage. We have behaviors that I know are not good. Well, and you, by the way, boys, I just want to tell you something. I'm not talking at you. I'm saying we're all in the same boat. You think you're the only guys who struggle with stuff? You think adults don't struggle with things? You think that Rebbeim don't struggle with things? We all struggle with stuff. Maybe we just struggle with different stuff, but we all struggle. And I would venture to say probably we all struggle with the same types of things. The whole yesod of Pesach is, if you want to free yourself from the things which enslave you, if you want to free yourself from the things that hold you back, you can do it. But Rabbi Lau says, here's the difference. The difference is that change often takes time. Hashata avdi l'shana haba b'nei chorin. Change takes time. Instantaneous change is possible. It's possible, but it's not probable. You know, Rav Kook's right in his Oros HaTshuva. He says that there are two different types of change. There's many more than two different types of change. Yes, Hannah. Go ahead.
Can't you say that about everything, though?
That what?
Like, can't you say I'm a slave to my school, I'm a slave to my parents, I'm a slave to Judaism, I'm a slave to my artwork, I'm a slave to time.
Here's what I would tell you something. You're 100% right.
I'm a slave to...
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, right. Yes. The difference just is, remember, I am a slave to Hashem. I'm an Eved Hashem. Being a slave to certain things is not a bad thing, right? A slave is committed to whatever it is. So being an Eved to Hashem is an incredible thing. Being an Eved to certain relationships in a healthy way could be incredible. It means I have an overwhelming sense of commitment. You're absolutely right. I would say, let me reframe it. There's good servitude and there's bad servitude.
It's not just responsibilities.
Correct. You don't have to call it a servitude, you call it a slave. I'm talking about the things, I think we all know, that there are certain things in my life that I feel like I'm a slave to. I don't want it anymore. I really don't want it. And I know that it's not good for me, but I feel enslaved to it. Those are the things Rabbi Lau writes. If you want to change them, you can. Just the difference is, it takes time. And boys, this is so incredibly important because a lot of times in life, we put our mind to changing something, right? And I think this is good because today is the end of the first unit of KTP. Right, so first of all, I hope that everyone had Hatzlacha, the boys who signed up. I hope that you found that it was transformative in some way in your life. I hope so. But probably what you also noticed is that change is really difficult, and change is really overwhelming, and change is gradual. And a lot of times in life, we want to make changes, and we become frustrated when we don't find the change happening fast enough or in enough of a dramatic way. Change is gradual. and change takes time. So saying Rav Kook writes in Oros HaTshuva, he says that there are two different types of tshuvas, many more than two different types of tshuva. But he holds that there's a concept of, what's the lashon that he uses? Tshuva pitomis and tshuva hadragis. Tshuva pitomis is like pitom, instantaneous change. Instantaneous change. Tshuva hadragis, gradual change. Rav Kook says something amazing. He says, tshuva pitomis is the higher level, when you could just like turn yourself around in a moment. But he says, tshuva hadragis has a better chance of lasting. And that's, says Rabbi Lau, that's how we're opening up the Seder. Hashata avdi l'shana haba b'nei choron. Hashata hacha l'shana haba b'ardi Yisrael. Is instantaneous change possible? Absolutely. It's possible, but not probable. More often in life, if you want to make real change in yourself, it's going to take time. So if we bring this all together, and guys, isn't this incredible? This is just the opening paragraph of the Haggadah. Right? This is just the opening paragraph. And what do we have? Number one, Aramaic. Solomon Chas Asher, ultimately Zecha L'Chorban. Number two, the invitation. But why the invitation out? Rabbi Soloveitchik, it's not a real invitation. What is it? It's a definition of freedom. Freedom means the ability to think beyond yourself. Freedom means the ability to think about others. And number three, why this year and then next year? Why not this year and then tomorrow? Why this year free next? Why? Because at the end of the day, it's talking to us about change. Pesach is all about change. All about the ability to free yourself from the things that give you negative servitude in life. But just understand, change, instantaneous change is possible, but it's not probable. Hashata hacha l'shana haba ba'aradi Yisrael. Hashata avdi, now I'm a slave, but I'm going to work on myself. And one day, I'm going to get to the point where I'm a free man. Is it going to be tomorrow? Probably not. Could it be tomorrow? Could I be totally free from all the things that enslave me tomorrow? Could that happen? It's possible, but not probable. So if I brace myself and I'm ready myself that I want to change so many things, but that change is going to take time, then in Yirtzeh Hashem I'm going to get there. Chavra, all of these incredible messages in one paragraph of Lachma Anya. Shkoyach, everyone, a great schus to learn with you in anticipation of the Yom Tiv. First of all, again, I want to just wish a tremendous shkoyach to the boys who did complete the first unit of KTP. Incredible. What's the trip today? Orioles game. Who are they playing? Twins. All right, they should be with Mazlam, Yirtzeh Hashem, for the Orioles, for everyone. Good. Chavra, really tremendous shkoyach for all of those who participated. And again, halavai, it should be a Yirtzeh Hashem, a good catalyst for growth. We should have a beautiful Pesach. Thank you also, boys, in advance. I know we're going to put you to work a little bit today for the move, Yirtzeh Hashem, to Baltimore Hebrew as well. And wishing you guys a wonderful day. And Yirtzeh Hashem, we'll learn a little bit more tomorrow. Shkoyach, everyone. Great. And Mazel Tov. Shkoyach.